Thank you so much for coming out today, and congratulations on a beautiful movie.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's yeah, I know it's still kind of weird seeing my big face on the screen. Yeah.
I guess I want to start at the beginning. Can you tell us about the audition process for this film? Because I heard it was a really long one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was, I was certainly struggling as an actor. I hadn't had any work for a long time, and I was kind of walking around London, putting CVs through letterboxes, trying to get a new agent, and I'm lucky to have a best friend who's a cameraman, so we put together a show reel and kind of made it look quite good, and I managed to cheekily tell people it was real work, which hey, sod it worked. So yeah, I managed to get an agent. I was working in the chorus with the Royal Shakespeare Company, which at the time I thought was kind of as good as it got, and I had no lines, and all my friends would take the piss out of me because I was coming on and playing a tree in the first scene, and with two branches, and kind of wave them. But yeah, so when I got the audition for Warhorse, there was at no point did I even think I'd get the job, because I wasn't getting callbacks for commercials. So why on earth did I get a callback for a movie? But yeah, it was about 2 months, I guess, and of a lot of screen testing, a lot of being filmed with horses, and as if you're not in work, then you give 100% to every audition. And I was trying to teach myself to ride and things, and yeah, and then one night got a phone call saying, "Can you come meet Steven Spielberg for tea tomorrow morning?" And I shat myself. No, but that's kind of the great thing about Steven is when you actually meet him, he's got this amazing ability just to put you at ease, and you feel very comfortable in the room with him, and within 5 minutes of sort of chatting with him, we're just having a normal conversation about the movie and about the role. And yeah, and then about a week later, I get a call from my agent, who loves messing with me, saying, "You've got another audition." So I come into London, I go on tape in my agent's office, and they give me some sides, and they say, "Listen, Steven wants this to be spontaneous. So when we've pressed action, that's when you can turn them over, but not before." So I'm like, "Fine, whatever, whatever Steven Spielberg wants." And they say action, I turn over the sides, and they've made some fake Warhorse script. So I start reading, I go, Joey, Steven Spielberg wants me to play Albert in the feature film of Warhorse. And that's how I found out. So yeah, it was a nice way to find out.
Nice or cruel?
Yeah, no. They love doing that. That's part of their main pastime is just winding me up. But hey.
I guess it only would have been cruel if they said, "Just kidding."
Yeah, right. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, which is kind of what I was expecting. Yeah.
I actually spoke to the casting director of this film, the great Gina Jay.
Yeah.
She said you came in and knocked it out of the park on the first try, but they really had to put you through the ringer, because they had to leave no stone unturned.
Well, it was a huge risk for Steven, to take on someone who, for all he knew, I was going to get in front of the camera and just freeze up. So there was a long process, and it was thorough, and as it should have been. I didn't have a body of work to show him. Yeah.
And did you meet Joey at some point during this audition? You had like a chemistry read?
Yeah, he's got a wonderful way with words, that horse. He really does. He's the way he reads with you is amazing. No, he's I had a lot of being filmed with the horses, and I'd never been on a horse, had never had anything to do with horses, so a big part of it was learning to kind of how to be with them and stuff. So yeah, there was probably 5 or 6 times on the screen, I guess, that I was being filmed with horses. And I remember one audition, one of these big emotional scenes where you're doing a monologue with the horse, and have to get the tears up, and in the middle of the scene, this bloody horse stamps on my foot. So I'm trying to convince them that I am this master horseman, and with this bloody horse on my foot, and the tears are real, and it worked great.
So he was really helping you out. He was a very giving co-star.
All he was doing was just trying to do what's best for me. He was a sweet animal.
Out of curiosity, did you read the book or see the play that this is based on?
I think especially in Britain, Warhorse is fast becoming part of our culture, I guess. I read the book when I was about 8 or 9. I think that's true for a lot of kids back home. It's a story that most people know, and there's a reason it's been so successful. I think there's something that we can all relate to in the story of Warhorse. We've all had that that childhood friend, be it an animal, a best friend, brother, sister, cuddly toy, whatever, you know, but we've all had that, and we can all imagine what it's like to have that taken away from us, I think. So yeah, you know, I remember it having an impact on me then, and you know, when I first got the audition, it was very secretive about what it was for, and you know, it had lots of code names and things, and you know, I read the script, and I'm kind of going, right, you know, it's only a scene, but boy and horse, where could this be Warhorse? So I got tickets to see the show that night, and you know, was blown away by it. You know, the fact that you completely emotionally invest in puppets, I think, is extraordinary, and it's a truly amazing piece of theatre. You know, how often are you in a room with, you know, a whole room of people crying at something they're seeing on stage that they know isn't real, you know, yet it's having that effect on them. And you know, sitting next to all these grown men pretending it's just a bit dusty is, you know, it was great, yeah.
It was pretty dusty in here too today, I think. What other sort of research or preparation did you have to undertake? Did you have to learn to ride horses?
Yeah, well, I had to learn all the horse stuff from scratch, really. You know, I really had no experience. But I mean, that kind of, to be honest, you know, I think about it now and I'm like, oh, Jesus, I had to learn to ride. But that, at the time, kind of paled into insignificance of the fact that I'd never acted in front of the camera really before. So, you know, that was the big challenge for me. You know, it was learning when there wasn't any time for mistakes. You know, Steven Spielberg there's no rehearsal. You know, you're given the script maybe just a couple of weeks before you start shooting, and you get in front of the camera, and most of, you know, quite a lot of the stuff that you've just seen, you know, that was the first time we've ever done that ever. You know, there was no rehearsal, and he didn't want us reading through with actors a lot because, you know, he wants it to be spontaneous. He calls it taking the virginity of a scene, and you know, I think it's, you know, there's something about that. You know, it's something spontaneous, and you know, as an actor in that situation, yeah, it's kind of stressful because, you know, especially for someone who's used to 3 months of rehearsal before you go on stage, you know, it's you have no choice but to be spontaneous and to be in the moment. You know, if you're not in the moment, you're going to fall down. You know, it's yeah, there's no choice really. But yeah, I mean, aside from, I mean, in preparation, I guess, you know, the main thing I wanted with Albert was to get this innocence. I think that I don't think we don't really see anymore. You know, here's someone who hasn't been exposed to TV and the internet and mobile phones. He's from a very isolated part of Devon. You know, he's got no brothers or sisters. You probably haven't seen anyone outside his small community. You know, this is before cars. This is someone with incredible naivety and innocence, and, you know, a complete lack of cynicism. You know, and I really wanted to get that so that when the horse comes along, the horse becomes his brother. You know, it becomes his best friend, and the stakes need to be that high for you know, to justify Albert going off and risking his life to get this horse back. You know, this has to be a human emotion on the same level as a brother. And, you know, my preparation was, you know, I certainly wouldn't have called myself an animal person, but I've got 2 younger brothers, so, you know, I went on that sort of relationship, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're getting to work with some of the best actors in film and theater here. Yeah. Emily Watson's your mother. David Thewlis is the villain.
Yeah, a lot of role models, to be honest. That's kind of what it was. You know, I was, you know, even when I wasn't filming, I was, you know, trying to go down set, not just because I wanted to watch machine guns being fired and stuff like that. No, because, you know, I wanted to learn from all the actors that I'm working with. You know, who better to learn from than Emily Watson and Peter Mullan? You know, they were the first people that I worked with. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I had 2 weeks of working with just a horse before I got to work with a human actor. Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, you know, just, you know, role models, I guess.
And I want to mention the great Tom Hiddleston, who I just think your guys' scene is fantastic. But did you ever feel pressure that you're sort of carrying this enormous movie?
You know, I certainly have never thought about it in the sense that I never really thought I was playing the lead. You know, it's such an ensemble piece. As for, you know, like people like Tom, you know, I mean, my favourite scene is the moment when Tom sees the machine guns. I you know, I was there that day watching, and I still well up when I see that. But you know, I think, you know, yeah, there was a huge pressure, especially considering, you know, this was already such an established story, such an established role. You know, you know, to do that justice was, I don't know, I suddenly felt a lot of pressure on that. But Tom Hiddleston actually gave me a piece of advice, which was like, you know, I was freaking out at first when we were in prep, you know, as you would be, and he kind of sat me down. He's like, look, it's you know, it's a job. It's a job like any other job. You know, you turn up to work every morning and you do the best job that you can while you're there, and then you go home and then you freak out. But you know, but in between that, you know, you're at work. You can't, you know, it wouldn't to have been there, being like, oh Jesus, like it's Steven Spielberg, like, and all this sort of stuff. You know, I wouldn't have been able to work. It wouldn't have been beneficial. So you kind of just have to put that aside. And Steven makes that so easy. You know, he makes you feel very comfortable on set. He makes you, you know, he doesn't have director on the back of his chair. He's got dad. So you know,
really?
it's a comfortable family atmosphere.
That's so neat. Did Joey get a chair?
No, but Joey had the biggest stable you've ever seen. So you know, let's stop feeling sorry for Joey. Yeah.
Well, you know, there is the old expression that you should never work with children or animals.
Yeah.
What was Joey like as a co-star? Could he be a diva? Or?
Well, you know, there were 14 horses that played Joey. They were the most highly trained, well looked after horses you'll ever find. I mean, they're incredible. You know, when you're in a scene with them, you really do genuinely feel like you're acting with them, and you know, and that's I found that amazing. You know, I was quite skeptical when I first started training with the horses. I never thought I'd actually get some sort of emotional bond off camera with them. You know, I was thinking, I'm going to have to just pretend they're, you know, a person. But you know, in reality, it was about a week, and I was a complete sucker like everyone else. You know, you have to be pretty stone cold not to sort of see the sort of the human emotions in these animals. You know, they have incredible human emotion, and here's an animal at the end of the day that is, you know, immensely powerful. It could quite easily kill you if it wanted to, yet it lets you get on its back and it lets you ride it. And, you know, I find that fascinating. Yeah.
This is sort of a broad question, and you've sort of addressed this, but Steven Spielberg is so legendary, but what is he actually like as a director? Is he very hands-on? Did you go to him when you were having trouble with the scene?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he is one of the most approachable directors I've worked with. You know, I haven't worked with many, but you know, like he's, yeah, you know, all those directors I've been doing films with. It's my first film. No, you know, he's lovely. He was very kind to me, and you know, he knew that he knew that it was pretty overwhelming, and he kind of really took me under his wing, and you know, I mean. You know, there was some days when I wasn't feeling great, and he'd come into my trailer and we'd talk about stuff. And you know, it's I don't know. You know, it really wasn't. I mean, you know, you really felt like you're working with someone who is the master of their craft. But you know, at no point did I really feel like, oh Jesus Christ, I'm working with, you know, this living legend. I guess, you know, it's he was just very kind and approachable, and you know, I remember on my first day, like, you know, you turn up and there's, you know, hundreds of trailers and all this machinery around, and, you know, we had up to 1,000 people on set some days, you know, but when you get in front of the camera, it's you, Steven Spielberg, and the other actor, or horse, and that's it, and it's a nice, intimate environment to work in, and you don't feel, you know, you're not worried about making mistakes, and that's, you know, as for him directing, that's one of the greatest things. You know, you're comfortable, so you hopefully do your best work.
I heard a story, and hopefully this is true, and I shouldn't just believe things I read, but that you were a fan of Saving Private Ryan and had sort of fantasized about being in a Steven Spielberg war film.
Oh yeah, because I'm in the minority there. Yeah, no, it was you know, I remember watching it. You know, my parents wouldn't let me watch it. I think I was only about 12 when I managed to get a VHS and was watching it with like the sound right down and stuff. But you know, it's you know, what boy doesn't fantasize about doing, you know, a big war sequence in a film? And you know, the day I read that I got to throw a grenade into a German machine gun post was a big day. Yeah.
I do want to take some questions from the audience. If you have one, just raise your hand. I'll try to get to as many. Sure.
Did you guys ever shoot the scenes where you left his family and ran off to join the war? That whole scene there with that. And how was it working with Peter? Because he's a ball of fun.
Yeah, Peter's hilarious. Yeah, no, I'll tell you the first one first. I mean, we didn't shoot those scenes. Those were Albert leaving home was something that was always going to be off camera in the film. You know, and I think what there was instead is there's a moment where Albert gets this sketchbook from Captain Nichols and finds out he's been killed. And what there is there's a moment where Steven wanted me to walk off, and then there's I think the camera kind of, there's a close-up, but basically it's a moment where Albert makes that decision, and it's right, I'm going to go and get him back. You know, it's. But yeah, no, Peter Mullan's great. You know, and I remember trying to. Me and the actor Robert Ems, who plays David Lyons, we tried to wind him up by writing some fake scripts. So basically, Stephen would come in quite frequently with handwritten scenes that he'd just written in the car or whatever, and you know, you'd get them and be like, "Oh, great, right, we're shooting this." You know, the scene where I'm trying to make Joey stay, and I'm with my friend Andrew. That was just, I think, written on the day, and you know, we just got it. So we thought, great, right, we'll go and get Peter. We'll write some handwritten scenes. We'll write a raunchy love scene between him and Emily Watson in the barn. And we thought this was brilliant. Like, you know, like we made Stephen's signature on it, and we got Stephen's assistant to give it to Peter Mullan, and you know, it kind of went, you know, we see them kiss through the barn door, and Joey nudges the door shut, blocking our view. You know, and we thought, you know, this is excellent. Right, we got him. So you know, we're that night in the restaurant, and you know, okay, so Peter, did you get the new scenes? Did you get them? They're a bit heavy, aren't they? He's going, boys, haven't you heard? I go, no way. I mean, there's been uproar. Stephen's heard somebody forged his signature. You know, they've had security down. I mean, whoever did this, you know, it's not funny, boys. It's not funny. I mean, somebody's going to get fired. And we're like, just no, baby, no. Listen, you must tell him it was a joke. It was a joke. It was us. Of course, it was you, boys. You know, how else was it going to be? And you know, talk about trying to teach an old dog, you know, new tricks. Turn that one around on us.
You deserved it.
Yeah, too right.
Anyone else? Sure.
I just want to know if there was any scenes you shot that didn't make it into the film that you're sad about, and then what was the most difficult to shoot?
You know, I think there's not actually a lot that we shot that isn't in there. I don't think. You know, there's a couple of scenes where I'm training Joey that I think that aren't in there, but you know, I certainly don't feel like it's taken anything away. You know, I think, you know, those first 20 minutes are very important. You know, that's when you have to, you know, they're not full of action, but that's when you hopefully invest in the relationship between Albert and the horse. And you know, without that, you know, you're just not going to care for the rest of the movie. You know, and but I think to make that any longer, maybe, you know, it would have been too long. I don't know. There's nothing that I particularly regret not being in there. As for, sorry, what was the other question? That was
the hardest.
Oh, most difficult. You know, again, naming a specific scene that I found particularly difficult is hard because, you know, the whole thing was kind of, you know, me just desperately trying to learn as quickly as I could. You know, there's things that I found difficult to get used to. You know, the fact that I went from doing some stage stuff to then suddenly you're doing a quiet, intimate scene with a camera 3 inches from your face, 60 people around you, people coming over, playing with your makeup, fiddling with your costume while you're trying to, you know, especially, you know, in the big emotional scenes where, you know, maybe for a whole day, you know, I mean, the scene when Joey's taken away from me, you know, you have to be at that sort of heightened emotional state all day, you know, and you know, you're doing bit after bit after bit. It's a big scene, so it takes a whole day to shoot, and you know, you've got a lot of distractions around you, and I think I had to kind of get used to that. I don't think there's a specific day, but I think that's what I found probably most difficult to get used to.
But it was better than playing a tree, right?
Hey, I played a pretty good tree.
Yeah, I believe it. A mute tree, no less.
Yeah.
We had a question over there.
Yes.
Hey.
Did you find seeing the play help you find your role a little bit easier? And was that really you that was dragged across the field by Joey?
Right, the play, I mean, you know, I was very cautious. I saw the play once. I was very cautious not, you know, it's an amazing piece of theatre. However, these are two very different mediums and also very different scripts. And, you know, I was careful not, you know, there were opportunities to go and see it again. And I decided I didn't want to because I wanted to, you know, as much as I could keep this, you know, make it come from a natural place within me rather than trying to copy what another actor had done. As for me going up the hill, it was me for the first and the end bit. It's actually not a horse on the end of that, it's a quad bike.
Really?
But no, my lovely stuntman Roman took the main brunt of that, thank God.
We have one right there.
Don't let me keep one. We'd like to, but no, unfortunately not. No, these are they're like the F1 race cars of of the horse world. You know, they're I think they're certainly more than I can afford.
So are they all owned by one person? They went back with the
Yeah,
owner?
there's a guy called Steve Dent who does most of the film horses in the UK and over here as well. You know, it's they're incredibly high trained. You know, when I started there, you know, I'd go for a long ride and stuff, and then get off, and these horses would do their stretches. You know, you don't need to tell them; they just do it. You know, they really are. They're insane. They really are. Yeah.
They're so method.
Yeah.
This being your first screen role and coming from the stage, just curious to know what, if any, major challenges did you have the first few days of shooting, being too big or whatever?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You tell me. I think, again, it's going back to that thing. You know, working for camera. There's a lot of stuff going on around you that you don't often have in theatre. I think. You know, I mean, you've often got, you know, your own space. There's, in terms of being bigger or smaller. I'm always a little bit confused by this because in my head I think, you know, the jobs I've done since then as well, you know, yes, in theatre, if in terms of being big, yeah, you have to project, you know, you have to make the guy sitting in row 24Z hear what you're saying, but you know, in terms of the emotion, you know, it's all you're doing is playing the emotion for real. That's what you're doing, you know, you're just trying to be truthful. I don't think you would make your character any more emotional in theatre than you would in film. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit too inexperienced to say that, but you know, I certainly know when I'm doing stuff, you know, I'm just, you know, constantly trying to be real, as I think a lot of actors are, you know, and that's kind of all you're thinking about is what I'm doing truthful. Yeah, if that answers, I don't know.
Didn't Spielberg give you some advice about the camera picks up truth or honesty?
Yeah, no, I mean, no, he explained, you know, the camera. I think what I was doing in one scene was just thinking too much, which is, you know, such an easy mistake to make. You know, in reality, our thoughts are much quicker than if we literally go through each step by step. You know, and, you know, he said, you know, the camera shows emotion. As long as that emotion is real and coming from a real place, that's what the camera is going to show. You know, when you're doing one of those big sequences where you are in that sort of heightened emotional state, the camera's here, you know, there's nowhere to hide, you know, that emotion has to be real. That if it's coming from a false place, you're going to see it's coming from a false place. And yeah, that was, you know, one of the thousands of great bits of advice, I think.
And can I ask what's up next for you?
I'm filming Great Expectations at the moment. I'm just about to go back on set straight off the plane tomorrow morning. So yes, I'm playing Pip, which is amazing, and you know, going to kind of
I think those are happy. Yeah.
Oh, not Pip, jeez. Yeah. No.
We were probably not Miss Havisham.
No, it's great. No, we've got Helen Bonham Carter playing Miss Havisham and Ralph Fiennes, and you know, it's an amazing cast and hopefully an amazing adaptation as well. And I've just finished a film with Dakota Fanning called Now It's Good, and I'm doing a film called The Railway Man next with Colin Firth and Rachel Weisz, which is one of the best scripts I've ever read, and you know, I still can't believe that I'm getting work, let alone being able to kind of, I guess, in a way, kind of help kind of choose the work. You know, that's the greatest privilege I think any actor could ever wish for. Yeah.
Well, I think I speak for all of us when I say we can't wait to see what's next.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations again on a beautiful movie. Thank you so much for being here.